Thank you for joining us today for Oklahoma City's winter weather update for February 18th. My name is Christy Yeager. I'm the Public Information Officer for the City of Oklahoma City. And our speakers today are Mayor David Holt, City Manager Craig Freeman, Street Superintendent Raymond Melton, Utilities Director Chris Browning, IMSA, we've got Adam Paluca. From ONG, we've got Kent Shortridge. And with our homeless outreach team, we have Jared Shadid. Also on the line, we have police, Embark, animal welfare, airports, parks, the emergency manager, Captain Frank Barnes. And I'd like to say thank you to our deaf sign language interpreter, Rachel Hollis. So let's start with you, Mayor.
Well, thank you, Christy, and to you and Zach and your whole team for putting this together. I would say I feel like we're getting near the end of the crisis portion of this event, but we are certainly still in it on several fronts. I think today you will hear some encouraging news in regards to various aspects of this. So I'm going to focus on the area that I think is probably still the most problematic for us, and that is water. Overnight, we had almost 3 times the water usage that we would normally expect overnight at this time of year. And that is causing water pressure problems across the city, especially in large buildings like hospitals and jails and other congregate care facilities. That is a continuing struggle, and we're actually really having kind of some crisis situations in some of our local hospitals the last 48 hours just because of high usage and our inability to meet that demand this time of year. So I think we can begin to adjust what we are doing with our dripping of faucets just a little bit. And I don't take this advice lightly, and I've brought in professional consultation on this today. But seeing that the usage overnight was so incredibly high, it's hard not to conclude that the usage is coming from the dripping of faucets, which we have been telling you to do all week, and we still want you to do in certain situations. I have brought on Larry Brook. Larry is joining us today. Larry has been in the plumbing field for decades. He is now the business manager for Local 344. That's right, Larry, isn't that the right number?
Yes, yeah. It is.
Local 344, our plumbing and pipe fitters union right here in Oklahoma City. And I spoke with him just a few minutes ago, and I asked him to join us and provide professional advice because good Lord knows you don't need to get plumbing advice from your mayor. Larry, is it your professional opinion that with temperatures rising to where they have now in the teens and the 20s, that our residents can stop dripping their faucets on interior faucets? And then what would you say about exterior faucets? And by that, I mean interior faucets, but they're on an exterior facing wall. Can you share your thoughts just as we spoke about a few minutes ago?
Correct. Yes. Any water that's coming up through your slab on an exterior wall will still be at risk of freezing. One thing that we can do, however, is with your interior water, if you have island sinks or anything like that, simply leave your doors open. I think we are at a time right now, especially with the sun being out, that those interior water risers are safe from freezing. Hehowever, just to be on the safe side, it's always good to leave your doors open so that the heat can also come in.
Yeah, so leave the cabinet doors underneath. So if you have like a hall bath or, as you said, an island faucet, I mean, anything that's not coming off of an exterior facing wall, you can turn those faucets completely off now. That is your professional opinion from being in the field for 30 years and being in your position as business manager of the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Union.
Correct. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. Well, we believe if you will turn off your interior faucets that are not on an exterior wall, that you will probably significantly help our water usage issues. And as I said before, in previous days, also think about backing off some of your other water usages if you can. Maybe punt that laundry load till Friday or Saturday, and try to take shorter showers. All that stuff. Just use common sense, but be conscious of the issue. We really want our hospitals and other congregate care facilities to come out of this little bit of a crisis that we're facing today. And a little bit from all of us will do the trick. So Thank you, Larry. You may leave or you may stay for the rest of this press conference, but thanks for doing this on such short notice. And we all appreciate you guys. I know you guys and all your members have been very busy this week, so thank you.
Yes,
Very
yes,
much.
yes, we have. Thank you for reaching out. And if there's anything we can ever do for you all, please feel free to contact us.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Well,
Thank you.
okay. I also want to, of course, not miss the opportunity to thank all of our city employees and all of our first responders and public safety and obviously water department, utilities department, people on the front lines out working on the lines themselves, working in the water treatment plants. We're very grateful for all of them. And with that, I think water is the key issue today. And I'll leave it there, and we'll have some other updates from everybody else, including an update from the utilities department. But to kick that off, let me introduce the city manager, Craig Freeman, who's in charge of all of those operational issues. Thank you, Craig, for all the work you're putting in.
Thank you, Mayor, and I really appreciate that from Larry and your words of wisdom there, because I think what we're running into right now is exactly what you're talking about, the water system issues that we have. We have had failures in parts of the system where we've had water line breaks and other things like that, but it's been much more about the water demand, and it's been even surprising to me how much demand that dripping faucets and people trying to protect their systems at home has created on our system. And it's one where we just really have to ask all of you, everyone, to pitch in. This is a time like, you know, what happens in Oklahoma City when we have a crisis is everyone pulls together and helps out. And that's what we need right now, is we need everyone helping out. We don't like the fact that we aren't able to serve you at the normal level that we do. It's not something that we want to see happening over a long period of time. But in the situation when we're dealing with a crisis, we all have to look at ways that we can help conserve water. And I'm asking you to do that. And just repeating, I know what the mayor said, and Chris is going to repeat it again because this is such an important message. So I just want to ask you to help out, because, you know, when you and I have to cut back on our water, or maybe we have a little bit reduced flow, or maybe even lose water for a short period of time, it's inconvenient and it's frustrating. When we lose water, or we don't have sufficient water pressure to some of these care facilities, healthcare facilities and hospitals, even the county jail, that when we lose that, that's critical. It's really critical. And so for you and me to be able to take some inconvenience and reduce our water pressure will help us to be able to ensure that, our water usage will help us to be able to ensure that we can serve all of our residents in a better way. And so I really appreciate everyone paying attention to that. I want to say thank you to our reporters and media outlets for helping us get this word out, because it's such an important message. You know, ONG, OG&E, the city, we've all been talking this message for, you know, less gas usage, less electric usage, and now that we're talking about try to reduce your water usage, but it's really to help the whole system, to help us serve all of our residents in a better way. And so I appreciate everyone's patience in this. I understand it's frustrating, but I do appreciate your patience. And again, I just want to say thank you to all of our employees that are out there in every segment. We're focused right now on utilities, water utilities, because it's been the most critical issue over the last couple of days. But you know, all of the employees for the city that are out there working, the employees for ONG, OG&E, and other partners who are out there working in the cold, working overnight, working long hours, and doing this over multiple days in a row is so important to the services that you and I receive. And I really appreciate what they are doing to help to keep us all safe and to provide the services that we need. I'm going to turn it back to Christy, and I want to say again, thank you to Christy and her team for the work that they're doing in trying to get this word out and make sure we're doing a good job of communicating with the public about the situation that we're in right now and the environment and how people can help out. So Christy, thank you very much, and I appreciate you leading us through this press conference.
Thank you. Well, our first speaker after them is our street superintendent, Raymond Melton. Raymond?
Thank you, Christy, and good afternoon to everyone. As you know, the weather has changed for the good, and our crews are very excited about seeing a full day of sunshine and to get some of the roadways cleared and salted. We're still working around the clock. Right now, we currently have 23 of our trucks out in the field working very hard. We have at least 8,500 tons of salt still available, so that'll last us actually through the winter. We're pretty sure of. If not, we have ways of ordering salt at the drop of a hat. As the mayor said a few days ago, before the last storm, that there probably weren't enough plows in the world to plow all of Oklahoma City. And unfortunately, sometimes we are limited in some of the services that we can supply. As a 25-year veteran of Oklahoma City, I never enjoy talking about things that we're not able to serve for our residents. But I've been getting some requests to plow the residential neighborhood streets. So I'd like to address our policy on our residential streets. Currently, we plow about 1,800 miles on our snow route of lane miles, but Oklahoma City is 620 square miles in size. So it's virtually impossible for us to get every lane mile in Oklahoma City. There's over 5,200 residential lane miles within that 620 square miles. So the size of the city is our first issue. Equipment, next to our equipment is very expensive equipment. It's large, if you've ever seen one of our pieces of equipment. So for us to get down a residential street is not very easy, especially when you're pushing snow. It just wouldn't be feasible. A lot of times there's cars parked on the street, so that would create another issue for us. So the size, the narrowness of the roadways is a second issue. There's safety issues that would be created by us plowing residential streets. For one thing, pushing the snow in front of driveways would create an issue for residents getting out of their driveway. And it would also cause a hazard for health officials to be able to get into those homes if there was an emergency. So having the snow piled up in front of the driveways is just not a healthy situation for all of us. The best policy we can go by is just let nature take its course and give the weather actually gives us the best benefit, better benefit than us plowing residential streets. One of the, I don't know if it's a helpful hint or whatever, but one of the things that naturally happens is once we're able to get out and start driving back and forth across our snow routes and back into the neighborhoods, it actually, the residual of the salt from the road, we track it back into the neighborhoods, and that helps with thawing of the neighborhood residential roadways. Another question that I'm receiving is, can I plow my own city residential roadway? This is something that we do not permit or promote for several reasons. Our equipment is very specialized. The plow blade is a special piece of equipment. If you'll notice, we've plowed enough roadways just in this event to wrap around the globe one time at least. And so, but you'll notice that we're not damaging our roadways along the way. If we allow people to plow their own roadways, we just don't know if the equipment would damage our roadways, and we just don't know the experience that the driver would have. Finally, you may see us treating in front of your addition at the entrance. There's a lot of times that maybe there's a water line break from a sprinkler or from within the neighborhood, and we will treat that area going into the neighborhood with salt as soon as we find out about it. We do understand these challenges, and all of us have the same issue trying to get in and out of our neighborhoods. And so I really empathize with you. But unfortunately, that's just one of the limitations that we live with in our streets department. Thank you, Christy.
Thanks, Raymond. Next up is Chris Browning with the Utilities Department.
Thank you, Christy. I'm going to restate what Mayor Holt and City Manager Freeman said a few minutes ago with a bit more detail to put some things in perspective. So crews continue to work around the clock to repair main breaks and major leaks. Over the past 24 hours, we have had 19 main breaks and major leaks and continue to respond to hundreds of service calls for private lines. Currently, we have 2 main breaks under repair. One is at OU Med, and the other one is in the village. That one just happened. Yesterday, I talked about a water booster station that was out of service. That booster station is back in service. It impacts the area from Wilshire to Northwest 10th and Sarah Road over to Portland. So we have been able to put that one back in service. We were able to increase the capacity at our Hefner water treatment plant last night by temporarily repairing a treatment component that was out of service for repair. The additional capacity provided enough water to put the booster station back in service. So we didn't have a mechanical problem with the station. We had a water volume problem with that station. Our current water demand is still double our typical winter usage. Last night, our demand was over 140 million gallons at its lowest point. The typical late night demand during this time of the year is 50 million gallons. The average daily flow during the winter is about 75 million gallons per day, and we're currently treating 175 million gallons per day. Because the demand is so high, pressure in most areas of the city is still below normal, but it is improving slowly. Some areas of the city have higher pressures than other areas of the city, and that's because of their proximity to the treatment plants and the booster stations. We are not redirecting water from one area to another. We have over 4,000 miles of pipe. It's all interconnected, and it's served by the 2 treatment plants and a series of water booster stations. Some of the pressure is directly related to elevation, and others is directly related to what I said a minute ago, the booster stations and the treatment plants, but we are improving throughout the city. To increase system pressure and restore normal service levels, as Mr. Freeman and Mayor Holt said, we need to reduce the volume, the demand. A high percentage of the demand is directly related to the faucets running. And as you heard from Mr. Brook, we don't really need to run that much water to keep our service lines and our faucets from freezing. I did a little calculation yesterday, and I measured the amount of water that a stream about the size of a pencil lead would run for 24 hours. And then I multiplied that times 225,000 customers that we have connected to our system. That's 50 million gallons of water a day if you run 2 sinks. 50 million gallons. So as you can see, that's where most of the extra demand is coming from. So we need to reduce that as much as possible. So again, to reduce the demand, people should consider running faucets only on exterior walls and only a couple of faucets on interior walls if you have no exterior faucets, and that will keep your service lines from breaking. So if we all work together, we can get past this sooner than later. We have one more cold night, and we're trying to recover. We're struggling to keep the hospitals under pressure. Fortunately, we have restored pressure to 2 of our hospitals from the pump station, Baptist and Deaconess, and we are working very hard to keep OU Med in water. So we need your help. We need people to reduce that water demand. So with that, Christy, I'd be happy to answer questions that may come about in a few minutes.
Thanks, Chris. Next up is Adam with IMSA.
Thank you, Christy. Obviously, we're really happy to see the sunshine and the improving conditions, but we have run into some issues at IMSA with our ambulances getting stuck over the past 36 hours. So I'm just going to ask for some grace from the wonderful people of Oklahoma City. Also, we've seen a lot of people who have decided to do those errands that they've been putting off for several days. The conditions are still dicey out there. We still need people to take the proper precautions when they're outside, when they're driving. And if you can wait a few more days to do those errands or to head out and about on the roads, that would probably be best. We're also still seeing several cold exposure calls. Since 12:01 this morning, we've responded to 8 cold exposure incidents and transported 6 patients. So everybody still needs to be dressing for the cold temperatures and not letting their guard down.
Thanks, Adam. From ONG, we have Kent Shortridge.
Thank you, Christy. Good afternoon, everyone. Currently, we are not experiencing any significant system issues or outages. However, we continue to experience supply disruption due to the weather, and continue to ask our customers to please conserve energy. Our focus remains on maintaining and monitoring our system to prevent any widespread outages. As we have stated, such prolonged below freezing temperatures have resulted in much higher natural gas use and a significant increase in natural gas market prices. It's important that customers know that our company does not set the price that we pay for gas. We purchase the gas from suppliers and deliver it to customers' homes. The customer's bill includes both the cost for our service to deliver gas to the customer's home and the cost of gas used. We do not mark up the price for the gas. These events will have an impact on customers' bills. Unfortunately, we cannot quantify what the impact will be from this winter storm yet. We'll be working with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission on options related to the impact to customer bills associated with the current price spikes in natural gas, and are committed to working with our customers to help them find alternatives for paying their bill. At this time, customers should stay focused on conserving energy, which also helps minimize the amount of their bill. Thank you again to all of our customers that continue to do their part in helping us conserve as we work to get through this winter storm. Our employees will be doing everything they can to make sure we all stay safe and warm. Thank you, Christy.
Our last speaker is our homeless program planner. His name is Jared Shaved.
Hello, everybody. Still did not hit capacity at Willard last night. They had 239. Typically, as the weather warms up, the numbers do tend to come down, so would not be surprised to see those continue to drop over the next couple days. 17 stayed over at Salvation. That's higher than they've had for most of the week, except for the night before. And then we did set up a lot of people in hotels. I won't name the hotels because that they may not want that. We did have a little bit more difficulty with that. Some were not wanting to serve, but we managed to get it sorted out. Also, supplies currently still holding up pretty well. I do want to clarify on the death we reported yesterday. I want to clarify that without a name, I cannot definitively say the person was actually unhoused. There were some questions about that after the meeting, and Captain Stewart and I discussed that this morning. Police is rightfully going to hold that name until they try to notify next of kin, because you don't want family members finding out about a relative passing via a televised news conference. But once we have that, then we will know more information. But I wanted to clarify that. I'd just once more like to thank the hard work our shelters have done this week. Particularly Homeless Alliance, Mental Health Association, Salvation Army, City Rescue, Pivot, CSU, and also a lot of the small organizations around the city who opened up their doors to get people out of the cold, and the Interfaith Alliance, who really helped out with helping us get people into hotel rooms. We really appreciate all the assistance. And that's all I've got to report right now.
Thanks, Jared. So now we'll open it up to questions. And if you're a reporter and you'd like to ask a question, you can let me know in the chat, or you can raise your hand. We already have one question from Ken Miller with the Associated Press.
Thank you, and thank you all for, again, being here. Regarding the hospitals, so as I understand, Baptist and Deaconess lost pressure. Did they lose water? And what does that mean for a hospital? And I'm honestly not sure who to ask that question to.
So I'll respond. So Deaconess did lose water. I'm not exactly sure what their response was, but they had pressures near zero. but they are recovering today. So I'm not sure what their response was when the pressure got that low.
I can answer that in part.
Hey, Frank, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Frank Barnes. I'm the Emergency Management Director for the City of Oklahoma City. I would direct the reporter to contact the Regional Medical Response System, RMRS, and talk to Heather Yazadampour. And Heather can explain what the impact of loss of water pressure is to a hospital and what actions they take. And she'll be able to give you a detailed explanation.
Thank you. The deaths were mentioned. Have there been any other people found deceased, suspected of exposure, either homeless or otherwise?
We haven't received any information on that. I've been asked to be notified if that happens, and I have not been notified. So as of right now, no.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you all.
Frank, can you look at the chat and spell Heather's last name for Ken? And Brett Dickerson with the Free Press has questions now. Brett?
Thanks, Christy. Chris, first thing is your workers out in these sub-zero temperatures. Have you had any kind of cold related like frostbite or anything from any of your workers? I know you do everything you can to try to protect them, but they are really vulnerable in these kind of situations. Every time I drive by a big hole in the street and see somebody standing in there in waist deep water, you know, I can't help but think about that. Have you had any kind of cold related injuries to responding to these water line breaks yet?
Thanks for the question. Our crews are out there working in horrible conditions. We have a different protocol right now where we're able to help our crews get warm while they're working on the water main break. So instead of dispatching one crew, we dispatch two, and they take shifts. I have not received any cold related injury reports yet.
All right. And Chris, my other question is, as you're planning for next year's budget and future years' budgets also, I know with your engineering, you guys are planning 20 years out and even further a lot of times. Are you is there anything that you've learned from these perilous hospital water pressure drops that you might try to address in coming city budgets to try and re-engineer how the city water connects with these hospitals to try and respond to that incredible need there that the hospitals have, where they can't have a water pressure dropout there at that point.
So we have like I said earlier, we have a very large system that is very dynamic. It is not static. So we really cannot direct water volume to any service connection. And this low pressure is a direct relation to the demand. So we have not had an incident like this in Oklahoma City, where pressures got so low that hospitals ran out of water. This is a 1 in 100-year event. We have learned a thing or two about our internal processes at our treatment plants that I will work on correcting, simply because, you know, cold weather impacted our generators primarily, and a few other things that we will harden a bit. But I don't know that we could ever engineer this type of weather out of our system, unfortunately.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris, for answering those questions. That's it, Christy.
Thanks. We have Brittany with a question.
Hi, Brittany from News 9. I was just wondering if This might be for Craig Freeman or Raymond Melton. Do you guys have any idea how many overtime hours have been worked by the employees out working the streets?
Raymond, you want to tell? I don't know what the number is right now. Raymond, do you have any idea?
I don't have any idea. It's something that I'm sure that we're going to look at, but I really don't have a number even close that I could give you.
Yeah, and I would just say that, it's a significant amount, but at this point, we aren't concerned with that. That right now, the primary issue, whether it's on utility side or it's on the street side, the primary issue is the safety of our residents and serving our residents. So we're going to do whatever it takes to get that job done. And we have plans within our budget that allows us room to be able to manage something like this.
Thank you.
And Ken has another question. Ken with the AP.
Thank you, and apologies. For Mr. Shortridge, I believe is the correct name, with ONG. There was a pipeline explosion this morning in Major County. My understanding is it was a gathering point for the gas. Curious if that is affecting the supply ONG is receiving.
So Ken, thank you for the question. I'm not aware of that on the gathering side, but right now we are seeing just slowly supply coming back, and I think that's a lot because of the weather. At least now they're able to get out there, but we are seeing the situation slowly improve, but we still have to conserve. We exhausted, taking a lot of gas out of storage to really help. And so there's just still very little flowing gas coming on, but we're hopeful we'll start seeing improvements on the supply side.
Thank you all.
Any other questions from media?
Christy, can I give a quick summary of our trash collection services, please?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to give everybody an update. We did resume trash collection services today. Normal Thursday route. Tomorrow will be normal Friday route. Saturday would be the Monday pickup that we missed. And then Sunday would be the Tuesday pickup that we missed. And that should get us back on schedule. We are seeing a few challenges out there. As Raymond mentioned, the neighborhood streets are not cleared. And there are some stuck cars and things like that we have to maneuver around. It's a little slower process than usual because of the snow, but we believe that we'll be back on schedule next Monday. So thank you, Christy.
Anybody else have a question? We will be back here tomorrow at 1:30. Pretty sure we're still going to be experiencing some water issues, so we'll certainly address that and probably our streets and anything else that's emerging between now and then. So please come back tomorrow at 1:30. And I'd like to thank everybody, like Craig Freeman did, for helping us pass on the word. It really makes a big difference.